What is going on, guys? Cream Puff's Garage. Today, I might be able to actually help you guys out a little bit. So I don't. If you guys drive an 8th Gen Civic, and your fuel pump goes out on you, or you guys might have issues with your fuel pump, I might be able to help you out. See, I had a fuel pump go out on me, and I went and I bought a brand new one from O'Reilly's. That brand new one from O'Reilly's, out of the box, hooked it up. So. And I'll show you guys when I'm gonna get back to the house, and then I will show you exactly what I'm talking about. The fuel pump from O'Reilly's, the pump itself is built in. So if you're running your own pump or you are running an aftermarket pump, you're gonna have to do some custom fabbing DIY on that fuel pump. After cutting it up and DIYing it, I put it in the tank. It didn't work. Well, after doing lots of testing, I found a problem. Fixed the problem with a fix that was actually fantastic for months. Still, to this day, great. I went to here in California, it's Pick and Pull, or your near salvage yard, junkyard, whatever you want to call it. I pulled a fuel pump out of another 8th Gen Civic. Because it's the same pump, it's the same assembly, it just has a different pump. I don't need the pump because I'm running an E85 ethanol AEM pump, so I didn't need that pump. So I don't care which one 8th Gen EX, LX, SI. It didn't matter. I just wanted a Honda OEM fuel pump without spending $400 online. So I went and picked one up for like $45, $50 at the salvage yard. Took it home, put my pump in it, everything, and it didn't work. And turns out it had the same exact problem. Same exact problem is the one that was in the box from O'Reilly's. So as soon as I get back, I will show you guys, and this actually might be able to help you guys. So I'll catch you in a second. So this is the Civic we got. We have an 8th Gen SI. Phenomenal. This is my baby. So this is the one that we do all the work on. This is number one project. We actually have new coils coming in tomorrow, or new coil packs coming in tomorrow. So Mishimoto's. So hopefully they do better. I've been having some coil pack issues, but yeah, that's just a little something about the Civic. Trying to get you guys. Hopefully I can help you guys out, because I've fucking ran through every different corner, every different nook and cranny, I've done a lot to this car. I've pulled the engine out, cracked the transmission open. I've done everything. So hopefully I'm gonna start making videos about the 8th Gen SI, because I want my knowledge, all the shit that I've gone through, all the headaches, all the things that I've spent weeks and weeks trying to source and finally figured the problem out. I think I should share my knowledge with you guys. I actually might be able to help some of you guys. That, or I'm just rambling. But hopefully I do help somebody, and I do help one of you guys out there, because this is there's a lot of stuff that I found that that it might make your guys' lives easier. So yeah, as soon as I get back to the house, I'm actually out here mobile in the car, taking it on a little test drive. So as soon as we get back, I'll show you them fuel pumps. One last thing, I do want to apologize for the audio and the video. I just finished up and I listened to it, and I'm not sure why the audio was like that. But it is, you can hear me clearly. It just sounds kind of, I'm not sure how to put it. It's not as crystal clear as I would have liked it, but at least you can hear me and you can understand what I'm saying, and you could still get the help you need. So I just wanted to apologize for that. But let's get back to the video. Okay, so this is what I want to show you guys. So here's what we got going on. We have two fuel pumps. OEM, O'Reilly's. And I will break these down to you right now. So, dude, my stand's all messed up. There we go. Okay, so this is the Honda OEM one. Honda OEM, and this is the O'Reilly's one. Now, a few things I want to show you. Let's say your fuel pump goes out and you want to buy the O'Reilly's one. I want you to keep in mind, this bottom piece comes off the same, but right here, get this out of the way, right here, this is where the fuel pump pops in. We got a couple fuel pumps right here. We have a DW 200. 200. Oh well. This is 255. I put in a 340 AM. So this, you put the little piece on right here, and then you put it up in here, just like normal, right? Just like a normal fuel pump. Well, here's the funny kicker. Let's say your fuel pump goes out. You're like, oh my gosh, let me run to O'Reilly's and grab one so I could just pop my, because a lot of times the assembly goes bad. So you go to O'Reilly's and you buy one of these. It's an import direct. Brand new out of the box. Their system, their fuel pump, if you notice, it's built in. So their fuel pump is built in, and it routes like this. This is a solid line. It's solid, very thick. I had to cut it off. What you're going to have to do, if you want to run the O'Reilly's one, is it goes off. It literally, see how there's no piece? Let's put them next to each other so you guys can see now. See how it's got that piece that the pump plugs into? That this little nipple plugs into? Right there. This doesn't have that. The way that they designed this pump is the pump just sits in here. Literally just sits in there. You plug it in, and it had its own routed wire like this, plugged up in here. So I had to cut it here, hose clamp a hose, go input a hose here. And you would want a thicker hose because you don't want this to collapse on itself. You don't want a thin, flimsy hose. You don't want it to collapse on itself. You also want something that's going to be durable, right? And you also need something with a big enough hole to fit over the nipple, right? So you're kind of forced to go with this big ass hose. I mean, it's not that big, but you put it on, right? It's plugged in. Now what happens is it goes into the car, and sometimes it may kink, it may not. This ran perfectly fine, no issues at all. The only reason I took it back out was I went to the junkyard, and the pick and pull, the salvage yard, whatever you want to call it. I pulled out another OEM Honda because this one was bad. So the problem was, when I got the O'Reilly's brand one, brand new in the box, right? I had to go, boom, 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 route it, plug in my pump. Everything's good. Everything's plugged in. Click, 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 plug, right? I put it in the car. Didn't prime. Nothing happened. It took me a couple hours, and luckily, if you have one of these, you can verify that's the issue. And this is the third fuel pump. The third fuel pump with this issue. All you have to do is, positive and negatives. And if you look, these both have, they all run the same connectors. It's all the same setup. The only difference is that pump setup, which is, don't even get me started. So if you're going to run aftermarket fuel pumps, if you're going to want to run ethanol, if you're going to want to run race fuel, anything like that, and you want to put your own pump in, you cannot buy an O'Reilly's or an AutoZone. It must be Honda Genuine OEM. I found that the hard part, but with a little bit of ingenuity, you can make it run. I ran this pump for 4 months, no problems. This still works to this day. The reason why is I just wanted to put Honda OEM. It runs way better. This will get you by. But out of the box, it didn't work. It didn't prime. And after testing, a good way to test is You just take these out. 1, 2. And you got positive, negative, positive, negative. And when you put it in, like they only go in one way. You can't put the left in the right. You can't put the right in the left. They're only going to go in one way. So when you go and you put it in, right? Obviously black is positive and the other color, or black is negative, the other color is positive. Right? It's a positive and it's a negative. No problem. You have a positive and negative to the fuel gauge, and then you have a positive and a negative to the actual pump itself. No, they both have the pumps taken out. And it plugs into there. I actually have like another little thing I have set up to test fuel pumps, the actual pumps. I can show you that in just a second. But the problem is it wasn't getting power, and I was like, what the fuck? So a good way to test, have it in your back seat, right? Pull your seat down, get to the connector. It's way easier if you have a second person. Way easier if you have a second person. If it's just you alone, you kind of got to have it like set up and have the screen so you could get up, because you're only going to have power. You click it and you're only going to have power for a couple seconds, and then it's going to cut power when it primes. So it's not a constant power source. So you have to click the key and watch the multimeter. So I had it set up leaning against the back, and I had it hooked up, and I got it stuck, and then you can see the numbers. So when I'm sitting up here and I turn the key, I look back and I'm like, okay, that's the voltage. If you have a second person, great, phenomenal. Just have them turn the key while you're fucking testing it. You know what I mean? If not, no worries. You could do it the hard way like I did. But all you have to do, plug it in, and on these pins, when you plug it like this, look, just set it in there so you know, okay, the front one's positive, the back one's negative. Great. So then you literally put the positive on the negative, negative on the negative. You test it, cool, 12 volts, 12 volts, 12 volts, 0. Perfect, because it's going to give you power for a couple seconds while it primes. Then you go and you do the other one. When I did the other one, I was not getting power. I was like, what? Why am I not getting power? You take the ground. You either shove it under a bolt, or you go and you put it to the frame and you get it, and you I kind of wedged it between the two seats and forced it into the frame so that this was grounded. Then you go and you put this on the power. If this is grounded, it just needs a ground. That's it. So then you give it the power, you connect it to the power just like so. All right, you go up in there. I wound it up. Thought I was done with it. I guess I'm not. But you put it on the power pin like this, right? On the power pin. On whichever side. So if you look, I just want to show you one more time. I don't want people to get confused. So the front one is going to be power, the back one's going to be negative. So you put this on the front one. Okay. This side, remember, is in the frame. And this is just how you test ground. You turn it, and now you have power. But you didn't have power when you had them like this. You know, when you had one on the positive, one on the negative, you couldn't get power. What that means is the actual ground pin right here is not connected to the ground pin up here. It's a bad ground. And this is the third pump that I have that it was a bad ground pin on the fuel pump side. If it was on the fuel gauge side, your car would start, but you would have no gas gauge. It'd say you're empty. So, because it's just a ground, let's reconnect this real quick. What I did was, if you look, I don't know if you could see, when they're connected, it's perfectly fine. And this plugs into the pump. Everything's connected. No problems. Now let me show you what I did. I cut the ground The yellow one is usually for your fuel gauge. I cut the ground to the fuel gauge, and I cut the ground, this is the ground, to the fuel pump. Because if it was a power wire, you might get issues because it's sending way too much power because it's trying to power the pump and it's sending way too much power to the fuel gauge, and you could get some issues. But because it's just a ground, no problem. You just need to ground the pump. That's it. So because you already know that this is not going to get grounded, the only thing that has ground is this. This is the only thing that has ground. You need to delete the ground from this. And I actually had butt connectors where one side was a 16 to 18, the other side was a 12 to 14. So you could put 2 wires on one side and 1 wire on the other side. It was a 2 on one side, 1 on the other side. So if you look, see those 2 wires? That's the ground for the pump and the ground for the fuel gauge spliced into just the ground for the fuel gauge because that had power, no problem. Then you connect it back up, plug it in, right? And when you plug it in, this has power to the pump. Then the pump is grounded via here. Fuel gauge has power. Fuel gauge is grounded. I then put this into the car, and it ran perfectly fine for about 4 months. It still runs perfectly fine to this day. I just went and picked up one that worked, and actually, funny story, I picked up the one from the salvage yard, I brought it home, boom, 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 put it in, immediately it didn't work. So the very first thing I did was I tested the ground to the pump, and it was bad. And did this, tested the ground pin to the pump is bad. So, pretty much, you just got to reground the pump. That's all you have to do. And this is the only option that you have because there is no metal. There's nowhere to ground inside a gas tank when you're in liquid. You're literally sitting in liquid. There's nowhere for you to ground. So, couple things. Let's do a quick little synopsis, conclusion. Do not buy. Now, if you are just running stock pump, no problem. This is not a problem. This pump from O'Reilly's or AutoZone or any non-Honda OEM genuine pump is gonna be fine, except if you want to run an aftermarket fuel pump. You cannot run this without some ingenuity. You're gonna have a very hard time. You're gonna have a headache. You're gonna get home and you're gonna go through what I had to go through. You're gonna be looking at it and be like, what? This isn't the same pump. It's not the same. They look similar. It threads. It looks almost identical, but it's not the same pump. It's got a different mounting. So that was my experience with the 8th Gen Civic fuel pumps. And again, I have one in my car and these 2 right here. All 3 of them had bad grounds to the fuel pump. The one from AutoZone, O'Reilly's, had a bad ground to the fuel pump. Fresh, out of the box, brand new. And the Honda OEM comes, it clamps on the bottom. It doesn't do that. Which, honestly, I like the Honda OEM better. If you guys, here's the hose that I needed. If you guys do come across that and you need to get some hose, it's going to be I guess 5/16. 5/16 inch hose. I was gonna say 3/8, but yeah, I guess 5/16. And like I said, you want it thick because there's a lot of fuel pressure, and you don't want it to collapse on itself under suction or vacuum. You don't want any of that. So you do want a thicker hose, but at the same time, it would be nice to run a smaller, or if you could get a hose like a solid hose, like a plastic one, like this one. That's fine, but it's and even then, even with how big it is, see it. you really gotta shove it on there. So this is like perfect size. This is the perfect hose that I found that works. And again, that's just ingenuity. You know what I mean? It's just what you gotta do, what you gotta do. So, I mean, this is a great pump too, the DW200. It still works. I have no problem with it. I just upgraded to a better pump, the AEM 340. This only puts out 255 LPH. The one I'm running puts out 340 LPH, and I do have a lot more power. I'm a lot happier with it. Um, but it's just, I know that there's going to be people out there. They're going to be confused, and they're going to be like, oh my God, my fuel pump went out. Oh my God. All I'm saying is check your ground to your actual pump. Check your pump ground. And I'm willing to bet that that's going to be your issue. I'm willing to bet that your issue is going to be coming from a bad ground to the pump. And the pump that I pulled out came from like a base model, like EXLX something, you know what I mean? So this isn't just to the SI, this is to EXLX, any 8th gen Civic. Hopefully they fixed it in the 9th gens, but who's buying a 9th gen with the one cam VTEC, you feel me? But I do want to show you real quick. I got, garage is a mess. This is my fuel pump tester, and I actually really like this thing. This is just to see if your pump is still good or not. Let's set you guys back up real quick. Okay, there you are. That's fine. So the way that you use this is you just get like a, when you buy a fuel pump, go get some wires, crimp some things on it, or you could just leave it bare wires. It don't matter. It really don't. And then when you get your pump, and most fuel pumps will have the same connector, which is so great. So great. Positive, negative, positive, whatever. So you would literally just plug it in. You'd go to your car battery, and when you flip the key on, you get a few seconds. So it's like, oh my God, you don't want to dry fire the pump. So you literally just go positive, negative. If it makes a noise, you're good. You can take it right off and it'll stop priming, because you don't want to sit there as it's dry firing. You know what I mean? But this is my fuel pump tester. Very, very simple, very easy. It's just a connector. You could even take a bad pump. You could literally just take a bad pump like this, get that, or what the fuck's going on here? Yeah, get this, cut that, and then just use a positive and the negative. You know what I mean? You could just do that, but this works perfectly fine. Just get the fuel pump, put a couple connectors so that you could, I like them long, so I don't have to touch the battery. I could just go like this, pull it off, cool. Now you know your pump is not the problem. You put it on your battery, nothing happens, pump went bad. But I really hope that this answered some questions. I hope that maybe I might have helped somebody, because these Honda genuine parts, this fuel pump I think was like online from like Honda Parts Now or K Series or whatever. It was like $395. It was like $400. The one from O'Reilly's, I think, because I have a discount corporate account there, so I get the parts cheaper. I got this pump for, I want to say like 150, something like that, right? 120, 150, something along those lines, which is still a lot more. Like, what if you have to get to work? Like, what if this, what if that? What if you buy a brand new pump like me and it did what it did to me? So I I don't know. I just really hope that this can help somebody. I really hope that maybe, like, you're like, oh, what? Why isn't it working? You check the grounds. Oh my God, it was a bad ground of the pump, and now you know how to fix it. You could just cut the grounds and splice the ground into the fuel gauge. Remember, please, please, please use butt connectors. Use butt connectors. Do not use a wire nut. Do not use a wire nut. Do not twist it in electrical tape. It is going in fuel. That is a ground. What happens when you take the black cable off your battery? Spark. Do you really want a spark inside your fuel tank? No, you do not. You do not need those wires coming loose and creating a little arc. Absolutely not. Safety, safety, safety. That's why. No, it's not this one. That's why if you look, I use an actual butt connector. There's no way this is ever coming out. Butt connectors are amazing. They're cheap. They're cents. You can go to an audio shop. Go to an audio shop and be like, hey man, can I buy a butt connector? I just need a couple like 14 gauge butt connectors. They might give them to you for free. They might charge you $1 if you don't want to go to the store and spend $5 or $10 on it's like $5, $10, and you buy like a box of 20, 30 of them. If you don't want to spend $5 or $10, go to an audio shop. Be like, audio shop near me. They have the butt connectors. They have thousands of them. If you're like, if you just walk in there, hey man, I just need 2 butt connectors. How much you gonna charge me? He's like, oh, 50 cents. Oh, just give me $1. Oh, you can have them, brother. All the time. When people come into my shop and they just need a fuse, or they just say, hey, do you got a couple butt connectors? I just give them to them. I'm gonna fucking charge you for a butt connector? No, I'm not gonna charge you for a butt connector, dude. I don't even put butt connectors on the tickets when I write them up. You know what I mean? So it's hopefully, what if you do what I did? You go, you buy the pump, it don't work. I had work that day and I'm tripping. I put the pump in at 8 a.m., 9 a.m. I'm testing, trying to figure it out. I figure it out, pull it back out, wire it in, get it wired together. Boom, it's 12 o'clock. Boom, car starts. Got it wired. Boom, had to be at work by 2. I was still able to hit the gym and then go to work, and I ran the pump for 4 months. Still runs to this day. Not a problem at all. But if you didn't know this, you would think, oh, I bought a faulty pump. Crap. Oh, they only had one in stock because it's for an SI. Oh, man, I can't get to work. You have to call out. It's not the case, man. I mean, of course I can't return it, but now I have a good pump that I made. I made this pump. It's great. If my pump goes out, I can swap this in like that. No problem. And then I can worry about that. But then I also have this pump as well. So I'm not really worried about the pump. But I'm worried about people that may not know the issue. And I've come to find out, how do I have 3 pumps with the same problem, dude? The only 3 pumps that I've ever had, all 3 have the same problem. So it must be a common problem on the Gen Civics. Hopefully this does bring light to you guys. Hopefully this does help somebody. Hopefully this is just good information for you guys. I cannot stress enough, please do not use wire nuts. Wire nuts will untwist. Please do not use electrical tape. Please, please, please use butt connectors. That's all I'm saying. But hopefully that this answers some questions. Hopefully that, hopefully I gave you guys some knowledge, not just rambled on. But it's real simple, real simple, real easy. But I hope this answers some questions. I hope you guys have a great day, and I really appreciate you guys, and thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this helped some people out. Hopefully, this answered some questions. And yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. And if you guys have fuel pump problems, hopefully I helped you guys diagnose them, and hopefully I helped you guys be able to fix it right there in your house and get you back up and going to work or to the store, to wherever you guys got to go. Hopefully I was able to help you guys. I've come across so many headaches, and there's a lot of help out there, but there's a lot of weird stuff that you can't really figure. I spent hours pulling, testing grounds. Someone said, oh, it's a bad ground underneath the seat, and oh, it's just, you get all these different answers from the forums when, no, I have not found this answer. No one has ever said anything bad about a ground to the pump. People just say, replace the pump, oh, it works now, so sometimes you gotta get it going, man, and you can't get the parts, or you don't have the money for the parts, or you just bought the part and it doesn't work, and the other one is gonna take a couple days to get back here because it was the only one they had, so sometimes you need to do some ingenuity and, some DIYing. So now, hopefully, I was able to help you guys. But I really do appreciate you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I hope your Gen Civic keeps on running. All right, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.